you've said that we've had to pay a price for these advances in Western medicine, and can you say a little bit more about that?
That's exactly right, Dr. Sue. In this modern day and age, we don't get massive infections and die. At one point, I actually had a third-degree burn on my leg, and I'm really grateful. I had steroids and IV antibiotics that prevented me from having infection and my leg cut off. Maybe another day, you know, my leg would have been cut off, actually. And we don't have plagues. We don't have wild rampant TB or other wild infections, and our water is clean and sanitize. We don't, you know, have, you know, dysentery all day, every day, like some third world countries, because they're not lucky enough to have that. Yeah. On the flip side, now we have other diseases that afflict all of us. A lot of brain fog, a lot of body fat issues, composition, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, strokes, heart attacks, cancers, other kinds of inflammatory diseases. It's so funny, my parents and all my family, extended family, and aunts, uncles, grandparents, they all live very long lives, to 90, even 100, with very little conditions, chronic conditions. But my sisters and I, my little brother, we all develop an autoimmune disease very young. And knowing now, like, what microbiome medicine is about, and what the role of the microbiome, our other half, in protecting against chronic diseases, we understand that those antibiotics likely set up a pathway for these conditions.
Yes, they not only kill the bad bugs, they take out some of the good bugs, and the next thing you know, we have none of this family of organisms that are attempting to transmute and translate and receive benefits, receive our nutrients, and help us get rid of what we don't need. All of this is just kind of cut away with the best of intentions. And, and so we end up with a culture that is compromised in the gut. And interesting, I've never taken an antibiotic. I was raised in a natural healthcare environment. And so we come from these opposite ends of the spectrum, and here we are today having a conversation, bringing it all together. And thank you so much for your perspective, because it is so helpful for people to recognize that while a little bit of a good thing is good, too much of a good thing is not so good. And now we have to turn our attention regarding our healthcare in a different direction. So what's your experience with Western cultures and the health of their gut versus non-Western cultures and the health of their gut? Is there research, or do you have data on that, how we compare to the rest of the world?
Absolutely. So it's so fascinating. Here in the Western world, studies are showing even after one course of antibiotics, we are losing and depleting such a great amount of our microbiome. We literally can lose 1/3 or 2/3 of our whole microbiome with even one course of antibiotics, and it never reverts back for some people, not everybody. And then studies are showing, microbiome studies are showing in Amish, people in U.S. who have more of a rural background, they live with their animals, they're very close with their animals, and they don't have antibiotics or healthcare. And centenarians, people who live to over 100, the blue zone areas, I'm sure you and your audience are really familiar with them through National Geographic. Many of them can eat anything they want, gluten, dairy, anything. They live healthy, long lives to over 100 with chronic, disease-free, cancer-free lives. And they have literally no antibiotics. When they look at their microbiome, they're fully intact. Same with hunter-gatherers all over Africa, Malawi, rainforest. Their microbiome is very diverse. And they have species that we don't see anymore that are extinct, literally extinct in the Western world. And it's so fascinating to compare these these individuals and groups and see how healthy they are. And some of these individuals smoke, right? They're even overweight a little bit, no big deal. They're super healthy. They don't have diabetes. They don't have any chronic afflictions like we do. So the way I look at the microbiome, it's kind of like a wealth portfolio. Here in the Western world, we're bankrupt in terms of our microbiome. And then yet these cultures have little health care, probably very high infant mortality and maternal mom mortality, through childbirth. But on the other side, they're very healthy, and have a disease-free life. They're very happy, generally speaking, and feel whole. And they have great diversity, lots of assets in their gut microbiome, and little liabilities.
An excellent portfolio, what everyone's looking for.
Yeah, and you've had that. You're so lucky. It's rare.
Well, and we're also looking at the mind-body relationship in the work that I do, and what you're sharing with this big crisis in your early life of losing your mother, it makes perfect sense that the idea of self-love isn't, present because that nurturing presence isn't there. And the next thing you know, it's translating chemically inside of our systems in a compromising way as well.
There's multiple factors, yeah.
So
absolutely.
how wonderful that you're here. You're not only, surviving, you're thriving because you're turning your attention onto what matters most and sharing it with other people. So we're so grateful to have you here.